Hello, my fairy friends. Welcome back. We have a huge transit starting. Really, it's already started, but it culminates tomorrow night. It is a full moon in Taurus, and it is also an eclipse, a partial eclipse, which means that the moon will be in the Earth's shadow. And this is going to be one of the longest eclipses ever as far as length of time. And so very often whatever's happening above, it can be applied to below, like as above so below. It's like old scriptures. And so I would really take time to sort of meditate on whatever resonates for you from this video, from other people's videos, research, because this is, when something stays in a state of being for longer, if it moves slower, then that basically gives a lot of energy to getting to the bottom of something. It's very intense, and it's happening opposite of Taurus, and the house or the sign that's opposite of Taurus is Scorpio. And Scorpio is already intense, very intense and very deep, and always hungry for the truth, only will tolerate authenticity. Scorpio energy is actually some of my favorite energy, but it is very powerful, it is very potent, and it is not afraid to basically uproot everything and have you start over. And that's also similar to the energy of Uranus, which is in the sign opposite. And that's going to be basically, Uranus is here theoretically to change, to introduce new ideas, to give everyone a moment of about face, like basically changing something on a dime without any notice and unexpectedly. There's also sometimes, I've been noticing this, there's some weird technology shit that happens that there's no purpose for. For example, there's a person in a dance class that I take, and I wanted to connect, and it took us 3 separate attempts on 3 separate days to get our phones to communicate with each other. I put my number in, she put her number in, and the text would never go through. And it's just so bizarre. There's no reason, and that's what Uranus feels like. It's bizarre. There's no reason. You can't figure out why. It just is. It's always correlated, almost always correlated with the idea of a lightning strike. Sure, a storm's coming, but what are the chances that you get struck by lightning? And is there a feasible way, if you have to be outside, to avoid that? You really can't, so it's sudden, it's electrifying. There's also, and some of the stuff I know that we're primed to sort of pay attention to as people who study patterns of behavior and patterns of energy and stuff. But sometimes there's these things that you just can't make up. And one of the teachers that I follow, super nerd, Hellenistic astrology, he had a guest on that specializes in the knowledge of Uranus and how that plays out. And they were setting up for the Uranus episode where they just go down this deep rabbit hole. It's 2.5 hours, nerd fest for me. They go down this log rabbit hole. Anyway, right before they had everything set up, all their technology, and right before they were supposed to go live or start filming, the electricity went out. And it's just one of those things where you're just all right, cool, universe. I know you're doing stuff. Thanks for nodding your head my direction. So it doesn't always have to be bad. And what I would say is that the best approach to this energy, actually all of the energies, I've been kind of hesitating to make a video about all of it because it is intense, and I don't, astrology is not meant to scare you or create fear. It's meant to prepare you, but sometimes there's this fine line that, especially with mass messages, right, that we have to make sure that we walk so that we don't cause people more pain. And so thinking about what I wanted to say, which normally doesn't even matter so much because I end up saying whatever you guys need, but I was kind of struggling, and the thing that keeps popping into my mind about like the best way to approach all of this intense, life-changing energy that you can't control, and like I keep hearing like play, creativity, curiosity. And so I have actually been doing that and getting better results. I see, and I've been working on sort of this framework for quite a while now to try to find a way for me to be happy amidst all the stuff going on in the world, where everything is turning into an experiment. Because you guys know, like, I love research, I love experiments, I love anything nerdy in that direction. And so I'm starting to approach things as an experiment. And so when I get something surprising, out of the blue, shocking, and quite offensive, I've had a couple of those already, instead of resisting it and instead of reacting the way that I normally would or responding the way that I normally would, I try to find another solution. Like, I try to find another way to execute the interaction, or another way to respond, or another way to frame whatever's happening. So it's evolving into this space where if you're curious, then it's a nice way to engage the energy, right? If there's a lesson, and I feel like most of mine are about just control issues related to fear that's literally been programmed in my body from a baby. This energy is definitely asking me to like continue to try to release that feeling of needing control, and also being guarded. Like I have to be guarded in a lot of ways, for my own like safety and protection, but there's still sort of like a militant, cold aspect sometimes to the way that I approach things, especially with other humans. I tend to just be like, all right, well, if they're not going to do what I think they should do, then like I can't be around them or something. And it's not a moral thing. It's absolutely not a moral thing. It's a not knowing what to expect out of the other human thing. So naturally, Uranus is always going to like flick me off. And instead of like flicking Uranus back off, I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, I guess you're done telling me something. Let's figure this thing out. And so it's working out quite nicely. It is very uncomfortable, though. It is very uncomfortable. It's very vulnerable, because the other part of that is that if you're choosing a response that you've never even thought of before to any of this, then there's a huge opportunity for you to like fall on your face, or to get punched in the face, or whatever, so yeah, engage this energy before it engages you. Because if I'm meant to like deal with control issues, I would rather have it happen the way that it's been unfolding, which is very uncomfortable, but it is what it is. I would rather have that happen than sort of ignore the idea of changing that, or not changing. There's nothing wrong with me, but creating a more pleasant response to life that's expansive and not restrictive. If that's, where I've decided to go next, and the universe like, yeah, we're on board, we're going to throw this shit at you. It's better than like having the universe go, all right, like this girl is not clearly not dealing with her issues, and if she doesn't deal with the issues now, they're going to turn into this later. She's already said that she's cool with us teaching her, so we're going to have to get her attention, and then, you know, worst case scenarios, lightning strikes. I don't know. I've had so much random shit happen in my life. It's just unbelievable, and I guess I'll probably share some stories one day, but today's not that day. So I'm going to make a few videos, so this one's going to be kind of short, because I really want to leave you with the idea of a safe way to engage with this energy, and that is to respond with curiosity, creativity, trying to come up with something new. Uranus is about innovation. It's about new technology. And so what you really want to do here is innovate, right? And create something from the shit that's thrown at you that resembles lemonade, but maybe is like lemonade with monk fruit instead of sugar. Like, I don't know. So just, you know, there's going to be a lot of intense shit happening depending on where your Uranus is in your chart, which if you don't know, you can go to almost any astrological website now and look up your birth chart. I do recommend using whole sign houses for this particular type of experiment. Anyway, or you could make a session with me and we could talk about it, because that's fun too. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what I was trying to say, but that's okay. Just be prepared for surprises, and be open to engaging this energy in a way that is creative, uncomfortable. It's going to be fucking uncomfortable. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. Uncomfortable, and it's going to be vulnerable. But again, it's also, you know, if you approach it in a way that expands your experience, like expands your imagination, then I think you'll find a lot more pleasant interaction during this time period. And tomorrow is November the 19th, 2021, and that is when the full moon gets to its culmination point. All right, cool.